Howdy friends, welcome to a day in my life as a pro Etsy seller and a newbie eBay seller. I'm recording on my phone today and I'm caught off guard by having to look at this, so I'm all confused. Anyways, today is Monday. It is the last day of July, so the 31st, and it's about 1:30 p.m. This is a little bit earlier than I usually get up and around. Sometimes I don't actually wake up until 3 p.m. That's just how my body works. My husband is not here. I work from home, so there's no reason for me to force myself to get up at 5 a.m. or whatever you're supposed to do to be successful. Every Monday, I sit down for about half an hour and look at my calendar for the week, plan out what I'm going to do at least for Monday and Tuesday. Usually, if I try to plan the entire week at once, it just all goes to crap by the second day. So I just plan 1 or 2 days in advance. And then I write down things that I need to do this week, but that I can delegate to any day that I have time. Usually my payouts from Etsy and Shopify and PayPal come to my account on Tuesdays, so I kind of have to do some things over again. So I usually wait. Today is the last day of the month, so I made an exception, but I usually wait to do money, financial stuff until Tuesday because it doesn't really make sense to figure out how much money I have if I don't have it yet. So let me just catch you up on what's going on and why all of a sudden I'm talking about eBay. I started posting stuff on eBay about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, and I've made a couple sales, more than I expected in this amount of time. I'm not selling handmade stuff on eBay though. I am just flipping things I already have, or if I find things at thrift stores that I go to and browse anyways. I've bought a lot of stuff for myself at thrift stores because I have another business idea, which I need to slow the heck down on that, of making videos and educational stuff about how to upcycle clothes or repair them. So I have been finding things at the thrift store that I like where I like the material and the overall feel of the garment, and I want to fix it somehow, if it is actually damaged, or upcycle it to fit me because I have a hard time, as everybody does, because clothes aren't made to fit anybody. That's a side tangent, but just showing people how to alter their clothes or reuse something that's damaged to make something new. And sometimes I come across stuff that is decent and that can sell on eBay, and I've always checked to make sure that there's a sales history and all that stuff that you're supposed to do before you try to sell anything on eBay. I have 29 active listings on eBay, and I believe I've made 4 sales, which is not terrible for that amount of things. The advice for eBay is kind of similar to the advice that I give for Etsy. Obviously, the more stuff you have, the more things you list, the more things that can sell. But the magic number, I don't like saying that it's the magic number, but it's the general average of when you can expect to make consistent sales on Etsy is 100 listings. But for eBay, it's a little bit different. And what I'm seeing from people who do it actually professionally is 1,000. So, but that's depending on the type of items that you have. So my stuff is clothing, generally in the $10 to $20 range. I do try to look for stuff that's going to be a bit more than that, but I feel it's reasonable, and I'm just starting out. Nobody has left me a review yet, so I'm not trying to price my things the exact same as everybody else. Maybe I'll try to price them a little bit lower to try to get those first few sales coming in, and then I'll start pricing them on the market rate. So why I'm explaining all that up front, I have number 1 to go to the post office today, but number 2, after I do that, I'm going to go to a few thrift stores. The Goodwills near me have on Mondays, the color of the week is $1.25 for clothing, and normally some clothing things can be up to $7 or $8. One of the eBay reseller YouTubers that I've been watching, let me find his name because I think Justin Resells. He posted, it was a long time ago, I just found his channel, talking about Airtable. And then yesterday I spent a couple hours making an Airtable. I don't even know what you call it. I'm not super familiar with it yet, but I was using Google Sheets to do an inventory system for the stuff that I am reselling on eBay. And then I was thinking that there needs to be a better solution because it is completely manual. You have to do every single thing yourself on a Google Sheet. except for like some formula things. So I was like, there has to be a better way to do this, and without paying a crap load of money for some kind of software, because I pay quite a bit of money I pay like for just software for my handmade business. If you include Shopify, it's like $150, almost $200 for just like software services. So I wasn't trying to add to that. Thankfully, Airtable is free for quite a while for me, because I think you get like 1,000 line entries for free, and then you have to pay per month. But I got that set up yesterday. It is amazing, and I have only sold one thing since I got it set up, but it makes it so much easier. Holy crap. So I am going to, if I have time, replicate that for my handmade business, because holy cow, this is what I needed like forever ago. Then also I'm going to the post office today is obviously orders. But so my last video, I don't know if I'm going to post a video between now and then. The last one that I posted, at least as of the time I'm filming this, was an update for when my business went viral. Last year, it was slightly over a year ago, and it's happening again. Like, of course, as soon as I talk about how I'm happier, like when sales were lower, it happens again. But it's not as bad or like as big as last year, so I'm okay with that. I made a product. I think in that video I was talking about, like toward the end, there was a product that I've been working on and been putting off. Well, I finally got that posted, and I made an Instagram reel and a TikTok for that. It sold out in less than 24 hours, but I only made 20 of the thing that I was advertising. I had a few more because I didn't know if it was going to sell or not, and they're a bit labor intensive. Like, they take longer to make than anything else in my shop. So I was like, I'll just list 20, and it was like 5 of each color, and I sold out of those in less than 24 hours. And I had some that were like halfway finished, and I went ahead and posted those even though they weren't finished yet. Yeah, I sold out of those in less than 24 hours as well. So I am like out of the materials for them, and I am ordering some from people on Facebook, because my selling point for those was that they were made from scraps or leftover materials from other things. So I was like, well, I will keep with that theme if I buy the materials secondhand, because my customers really appreciate like things being reused or upcycled, repurposed, stuff like that. And I was nervous about the price, because I had to price, they are a type of bag, and I had to price them higher than I was comfortable with, because just of the time it took to make them. If I am being conservative, I guess, with the amount of time it takes, if I don't mess up, because when I made the first round, my machine was acting up, but I fixed it. If I don't make mistakes and I do everything like as efficiently as possible, it takes about half an hour to make each one, which is a lot. Like, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to make other things in my shop. So that's at least $10 in labor costs. I know I should charge more than $20 an hour. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be expensive. And I counted them as like zero cost for the actual fabric part, and just counted the price for like the thread and my tag, and then they have snaps on them, so I counted the price of the snaps. I don't know. I'm just flabbergasted. I do have unfilled orders from like 10 from Shopify. The thing with that launch was that I did it exclusively on my Shopify. I did not list any of them on Etsy. Same problem as that last video that I was talking about, but people were like going to my Etsy views jumped, but obviously they weren't buying. Like, I made a couple sales, but I think just naturally from Etsy, I don't think that people from the videos were buying things on there. But my Etsy sales jumped, my Etsy views jumped, which means that my conversion rate dropped. So, oh well, I mean, like, if I can do this, as much as I talk about Etsy, if I can do a launch like this and sell out of it by just posting on social media, not having to post anything on Etsy or rely on that and pay the fees, I would be totally fine. Like, this was the goal from the beginning, but Etsy does come in clutch if you don't have time to advertise, because they do it for you somewhat. Sometimes I can't find fabric at the thrift stores, so I will go to the ones that I know I can find fabric at sometimes. And I'm going to work on some other products I need to just stock up on, like some of my previously best-selling products. hang on, somebody's at the door. That was the neighbor. They are moving out and were letting me know that they're going to block my car in, so, which is fine. It's not going to be for very long. Oh, also before I go, I need to iron my shirt. Even though it's like 90 degrees outside, I still wear a long sleeve shirt because, hello, you see, this is why I wear a long sleeve shirt. This one I don't think will be too hot. I don't have that many plain, like cotton, or I think I have one plain cotton one that's not flannel, because flannel is more fluffy and holds in the heat more. And this is full of pro tips. So if you want to roll your sleeves and they keep coming unrolled, roll it up like double, so not just the actual cuff, but like twice that long, about to the where it splits right there, and then you take that and then just roll it up over top of the cuff. If it's a decently made shirt and it kind of fits you pretty well, this will stay all day without unrolling, unless you're like doing a bunch of this. I'm just gonna dawdle around a little bit before I go. I was hoping to leave like really early this morning. Number one, it gets really hot, but also just making it to the thrift stores and getting back before it gets rush hour. And it's 4 o'clock. I just got to the post office. Somebody on Facebook that was selling fabric got back to me, and I picked out what I wanted from them for a pretty good price. And I was about to leave for the post office. Some kind of hornet or wasp that I've never seen before got in the house while I was leaving. So yeah, I had to, I was real scared. I tried to like get a broom and like guide it outside, but I was afraid it was going to sting me. So eventually it went out the door on its own. That was nerve-wracking. I didn't want to leave it in there. So on to the first thrift store. Well, this was only like not even a mile away from the post office, and the traffic was backed up pretty bad already. So also rethinking this shirt because I am sweating through the shirt underneath. No idea what I did for an hour and a half in there, but the one thrift store that I was going to go to is going to close in like 3 minutes, so that's not going to happen. Barely ate breakfast before I left. I had like half a bowl of cereal. I knew there was a Burger King nearby. Last time I came here, they were out of the Impossible Whoppers, and they didn't say anything when I ordered just now, so hopefully they have them. I guess I'll do this one last place and then skedaddle on home. But also there's a Joann's like right there, so I might stop there if I feel like it. I don't know. Welcome to my quote-unquote second office. This was supposed to be like my personal office, and then the other one was supposed to be for my like production of my handmade business. Didn't quite work out that way. I haven't gotten around to doing it because I wanted to take it slow so I didn't get overwhelmed with moving everything, because last time I moved stuff in my office, I freaked out. But this is where I keep personal projects and also my inventory for eBay that I haven't listed yet. So everything that I have that's ready to sell for my handmade business and for eBay are in the stock room, which is like basically a closet, but it's a half bedroom. So I only ended up getting stuff at one thrift store. None of it's really like to strictly resell though. I'll show you what I got. It's just kind of an off day with everything getting delayed. I normally don't pick up Old Navy because I have bought Old Navy for myself many times in the past, because they, like in the mid 2000s, their dresses and stuff were like actually fit me, whereas everywhere else were really short. I'm not that tall, but it was really hard to find like even knee length stuff. So some things that they have are just not great quality, like they just totally stretch out after a while. But I thought this might be an exception. It's not a knit. So this is like a cotton embroidered top. The lighting in here is bad because the sun's going down. It's like a burnt orange. But I wanted to upcycle clothes, and this is only $1.25. And this material would be pretty good for something. Doing something different with the top, or I'm not really sure. Honestly, it's kind of okay as it is. So usually when I go to a thrift store, I go down the rows of the clothes and I feel the fabric on things before I even look at the tag or see what brand it is, because I can tell what things are made of just by feeling of them. Stuff that's made of cotton or linen especially, I will try to pick up if it's a decent quality. And then I also really like rayon. I think it is a really nice lightweight fabric that is cooler than polyester but still has that move that like flow to it, whereas cotton can get kind of stiff, and so can linen. But I found this, I thought it was really interesting. Brand is Paolino. It kind of looks handmade to me, or like a very small brand. I want to figure out what it even was, because I recognized it as rayon right away. Definitely needs some work. There's some strings hanging off of it. But I'm not sure yet if I want to keep the eBay like strictly just like resold stuff and not upcycle anything for it. The second option there would be to upcycle or like remake things and put them on my handmade business like Shopify. But the problem with that, I have this a lot, is if I can't get more of something and people really like it. I'm going through that right now because people are coming in droves to my Shopify and I physically can't make any more of those bags yet because I don't have any materials. I'm like waiting for them to come in the mail, so you never know what's gonna sell. So this is one I paid full price, like the regular price for. These pants, they're like the paper bag kind of style. These might be a little bit too small. They have a drawstring. Maybe I could like take the elastic out because I don't know. I'll try them on, see how it goes. If not, I'll sell them. They're Arizona jeans brand, which is not like expensive whatsoever. I think that's at JCPenney's. This one's going to be an upcycle because unfortunately it has a stain on the front, but it is a Dickies workwear. I don't know if I have to look up Dickies if there's like different kinds, because there's these one pants that I have that are Dickies, but they're not like the workwear line. So I don't know if this one is, but this is just a denim, like a lightweight denim shirt. I think this is a men's medium because I got it in the men's section, but you never know. Sometimes they mix stuff up. It has a pretty, like a coffee stain or something right on this side of the buttons. So if I could do something with that or try to get the stain out. Sometimes I have gotten things from the thrift store and gotten the stains out just fine. Just, I guess people don't want to deal with it and just donate it. Or like if it's missing a button or something like simple that could easily be fixed if you knew how to sew. This one looked really interesting. I looked it up on eBay while I was there. I try not to do that because people are gonna like see me doing it and be like, oh, you're a reseller. I feel like it's easier for men who are resellers because they get like other men talking to them. Most resellers that, at least that I am aware of, are men. So if a woman does it, people, just if a woman does anything, people don't like it. But I had never heard of this brand before. This is a long sleeve button up from Daniel Alyssa, an extra large. It's just a black like piqué button up, but the collar is really interesting. And it has these square buttons and then this printed collar, but you can also like untuck it from that. And I think it does have French cuffs as well, so you need cuff links for this. I couldn't find this exact one, having sold recently on eBay, but other Daniel Alyssa were selling for like 15-ish. And then the entire point of the trip was to find fabric, and I only found 2 things, which one I didn't even need, but I collect because these are expensive if you have to buy them like full price at Joann's. But these, it says bias tape, but these are piping. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of different colors. You would sew this into a seam to make it a bit stiffer. Like most of the time you're going to see these on bags and things like that. And it's hard to find the piping because people, I guess, use it a lot. So I'm glad to have found this. This is $2.02. And like one of these at Joann's regular price is like $3. So I always get these, even if like, especially if they're vintage, because they were better quality. And I did find this one piece of fabric that I need to test it to make sure that it's 100% cotton. There was another one next to it that was also red, but it felt like it might be polyester. So I didn't even bother with it. But I'm pretty sure this is 100% cotton, and it looks like a piece has been cut out of it, but this should be like a yard or 2. It was $2.75. If you actually craft, like do handmade things for your business, check your local thrift stores, because a lot of times people donate things. Like I've seen yarn, like Cricut vinyl, especially fabric, or like storage things. All right, today is Tuesday. It's probably going to be a multi-day vlog now because didn't do that much yesterday, even though I talked a lot. After I last checked in, I spent a couple hours working on my product that I'm restocking, these bags. I was going to go back out to the thrift store that I missed yesterday that I really wanted to go to that usually has fabric. Woke up at like 1, and then I saw that it was supposed to rain right around the time I would have been leaving, so I was like, I'll just wait. So hopefully I can go like early-ish tomorrow before a lot of other people have a chance to go there. I'm not going to get there like when they open. I think this one opens at 8 a.m., which is pretty early. But I've been trying to schedule how I'm going to handle the restock and everything from here on out. So I don't have, well, first of all, I don't have the last round totally finished yet. Like I still have a pile laying here of ones to finish. They're like 75% done. So I will finish those and get them out tomorrow. And I have ordered more supplies that I need and also the fabric. So I ordered like 20 some yards from somebody on Facebook and they sent me the tracking. It's supposed to be here Thursday. I can't really do anything between now and then except maybe cut some of the pieces that I have, but I want to wait until I have the actual solid colors because there's like a solid color and then a coordinating or at least looks okay print that goes on it as well. So I want to wait and make sure that I have like an even distribution of those. So it's, can't really do that right now. So I have the rest of today and tomorrow and then some of Thursday, depending on when it comes. Usually USPS gets here at like 1 or so. I was also trying to look at my calendar to figure out when the restock is going to be because I have something to do with family later on in the month and I obviously can't manage, like do the restock while I'm not here. So I was trying to figure out the logistics of that. And also if I want to do 2 restocks, a lot of my audience is into the spooky Halloween kind of stuff, as am I. Hello, this shirt. Half of them are into like spooky Halloween stuff and there's some crossover, but then some of them are also like just kind of like the normal prints, like cute things. And there's a lot of people that are into farm animal stuff because I've done like a lot of veg fests. So like farm animals, fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. So I was thinking to make it easier on myself so I don't list, like I'm planning on bare minimum 100 of these because I sold like 35 or 34, I can't remember exactly how many, 34 or 35 in 48 hours. So I think if I like triple or quadruple that, then I should be good because I don't want to sell out immediately. I would like to sell through a lot of them, but it's frustrating for customers if it just sells out right away. So are my options. Okay, so option 1, I just make them all and then however long it takes to make them, like at least 2 weeks, if not more. Just the longer I wait, the less or the more likely people are going to be to forget about me and about the bags. Option 2 is going to be do a restock of just the normal prints and designs, and then a week or 2 later do a restock of just like the Halloweenish ones. The problem with that is I don't want to do the Halloween ones first because the ones that I had before were not Halloween, so then people are waiting for a restock of the normal ones, then they're gonna have to wait longer. But then I don't want to wait too long for the Halloween ones either because it's kind of like this right now is the time. If you have Halloween stuff, get it out now. Like don't wait until September, do it now. And I recommend to a lot of you guys as well to do Halloween stuff year round because there's people like me that are weird and don't wait for October. It's hard for me to shop for this kind of fabric because I'm like Halloween prints, but I don't want the stuff that says Happy Halloween or has like trick or treat or like jack-o'-lanterns and stuff. I want like skulls, bats, spiders, like the Ouija boards, tarot cards, stuff like that. So my priority for today is to think about that, to figure out exactly what I want to do before I start telling people that I'm going to have it on a certain date. Like I need to send something out like kind of soon-ish just to keep people engaged. And also today I want to get my Airtable set up for my shop, although it's probably going to take a long time to get it set up and also import the thing. I don't know if I want to start, because today's like August 1st, so I don't know if I want to start today or if I want to try to work backwards and like start at least at the beginning of 2023. I don't know exactly how that's going to work because ideally the Airtable setup, if I can do it right and figure out how and watch tutorials, I can probably substitute QuickBooks because I think it's pretty much going to do the same thing as QuickBooks or cheaper. Like even if I end up paying for the monthly subscription, if I surpass the quantity that you can have of items for the free version, it's probably going to be cheaper than QuickBooks anyways. And then I can just use TurboTax at the end of the year. I also would like to hire an accountant if not this year, next year, because it's a lot. Especially now that I do the eBay stuff, and then I am making not a lot, but enough to have to report on my taxes for Type 9 Studio. What's up, guys? It's Wednesday. Another day, another nickel over here. Welcome to the stock room. So I don't have all those bags finished, but I need to get some of them out, and I do have one Etsy order that's not for a bag to get out today, like very importantly, urgently. And then I have one eBay order, which is right here. I finished ordering the last of the fabric that I needed, hopefully. I sold this shirt. It is maybe vintage, I'm not 100% sure, but it feels like the style of it feels very 90s to me. And this is a washable silk. It's much lighter when the lighting is better. I'll take it in my office and show you again. Silk is one of those fabrics that's really tricky, or it can be, if you've never used it or anything before. I haven't personally, but I have studied textiles, especially a lot recently. And silk, like if you even get water on it, it can really mess it up. And you want to be careful with silk and wool because they can have moth holes, but this one seems perfectly fine. And when I brought it home, it wasn't wrinkly like the other shirts that I had, so I put that in the listing, like I didn't notice that it wrinkled, so this could be a good no fuss vacation top. I went and found some tissue paper because I had some downstairs that I've been reusing. The color a little bit better. I really like it, but it's not my style, and I actually don't wear silk myself because I'm a vegan, but I do appreciate like reusing or not throwing out ones that are already made, you know. This is a pretty hot take for an ethical vegan, but I really don't care if people use wool or silk. I prefer that it is from like either secondhand or I don't believe that it's possible for it to be entirely ethical if you buy it new, but if it's already there, don't let it go to waste. Like, I don't have it right now, but most of the time if I have pants that need a belt, my belt is leather because when I was, before we moved, I would have been like 8 or 9, my mom gave me her Harley Davidson, which is obviously leather belt, and it still fits. So I use that all the time. I've never had to buy a new belt. Oh, it really fits. Use your noodle. I had a bunch of different colors of this tissue paper that like somebody gave me in a gift. So I've just been reusing it, and I was kind of scared to use, like I thought it might look nice to use the light orange or like a pink one, but I am probably irrationally afraid that the color is going to fade on this. And I do not want that to happen. I went to the post office, did not get all of the orders done. I got like as many as I could that were close enough to being finished and got those out, so I'll just do the rest for tomorrow. And I went to the one thrift store that I didn't get to. I found a couple good things, not as much as I had hoped. There was a ton of fabric there. They had like rolls and rolls of upholstery and home decor fabric that I can't really use. I also decided not to go to the grocery store because it was about to rain. The last 2 times I've went to the grocery store, it has absolutely pissed. Like cats and dogs, lightning in the parking lot, so I was gonna pass on that. So I picked up Chinese, and it is 7 o'clock, which means it is not too late. Usually by the time I eat dinner, I can't have caffeine anymore because then I won't be able to sleep, which I never used to have that problem, but it's time for a cheer wine. As soon as I knew we were moving to Georgia, the first thing I did was like, I'm gonna have so much cheer wine. I didn't have much time in that thrift store today because they were closing in like an hour, and I didn't want to sit there and look up everything, and I didn't really see that much that jumped out at me. So I just got 4 clothing items and then some sewing patterns, some of which I'm going to keep, and then maybe some I might try to sell if I don't think I'm going to actually use them. The first thing that did jump out at me, because this looks like something I would wear, like hello, that shirt I was wearing the other day, kind of similar vibe. But the more I looked at it, it kind of has like a Mardi Gras feel, which like I like purple and I like green, but together like this, I don't know. It has a little bit of a, it's not like musty mildew, but there's some. So I'm going to wash this no matter if I keep it or not. But this is a Christopher Hayes. I know this is at least 90s. I don't think it's 80s, definitely not 70s. This looks like something, the colors, everything from the 90s. So there's not much of this brand on eBay. I don't know if it's not like they didn't make much of it, or if it just wasn't, like, it's good quality, but I just don't know if there's even a market for this brand. If there's not, I do decide to sell it, which I think I will. I might just make a lot. If I find other ones that are similar in the same size, I'll just make a lot and try to get rid of them that way. That was only when I got full price. It was $2.75. Yeah, their men's shirts are $2.75 at that store. This one, everything else is on the clearance rack, so they have a clearance for $1. And this is a Van Heusen men's shirt. I really liked the feel of this. It's kind of like flannel, but it's really, really soft. And it's got that teeny tiny check. I don't know. Oh, this is like kind of like houndstooth, but not really. I don't know. But there's nothing wrong with this that I can tell. I don't think it's missing any buttons. So I think this would make a really nice apron, because I want to do some of those for my shop. This is plenty of fabric for an apron. But I don't know, if it sells for like more than 20 bucks, I will sell it on eBay. Like, I need more projects anyways. And these, again, also on clearance. I don't know why. I looked and looked and looked at them. Don't see anything wrong with them. Ralph Lauren. So, like, this is not cheap. There's no hole, like, there's no hole in the pockets. The button's still on. Although I did think about keeping these as well. Although I really don't need to. I bought a pair of brown corduroy pants one of the last times I went to Goodwill, like women's, thinking that they were my size, but they were a bit too big, and I don't want to go through with altering them because they were like more than a tiny bit too big. Like, I would have had to make some major adjustments. It would have messed the pockets, so I didn't want to deal with it. It's kind of sad because I did want a pair, but it's like, maybe I could alter these, but no, just stop. And then the last one, I am kind of surprised was out, because this was a Catholic thrift store, but they had this Broken Promises shirt or hoodie. But this one is obviously in used condition. It's been washed at least a couple times. There's just a tiny bit of pilling. I did buy a fabric shaver, but I don't think it's like that bad to where the shaver would really help. Oh, there's something on it. It's missing the strings, which I think most people either remove or end up losing anyways. Broken Promises is a pretty strong brand, just not this specific style, but there's other ones. The hoodies are black and there's like more involved designs on them. Look out for those, because they were selling for quite a bit on eBay, like upwards of $80-ish. And then I found, I've stuck the things in here, but I am a seamstress. In case you just now started watching my channel in the middle of this video. This thrift store has sewing patterns. It's very rare that I see actual sewing patterns at thrift stores, because they kind of just think they're worthless and throw them away, or they honestly just get damaged really easily. So I found a few that are probably worth something. I'm gonna hold on to these. Like, I have been looking for 1940s sewing patterns specifically for myself, and also a lot of them are pretty valuable, so keep an eye out for sewing patterns, because people are like really into them right now. I mean, they're worthless. Just send them to me and I'll deal with them for you. There's a couple of them that caught my eye that looked like they could be vintage, and I was like, I'll just paw through that and see that. So I found 4 of them. This one, I think it's 35 cents. I think this is like 50s, like late 50s. Unfortunately, like, I could not get a whole lot out of it just because of all this stuff missing, and the date I believe would have been here, which unfortunately has been removed. And be really careful if you do get these, because the paper is really delicate. And are these in any antique or older books? Keep them not in cardboard. Do not put anything paper that is older than, like, I want to say like 1970, 1980, because there's different kinds of acids used to make the paper, and you need acid free because they're going to interact. Like this. See, this was not made like that. This whole envelope should have been white, but this was up against something that had acid in it. So that really hurts the value of these. I mean, not terribly. For somebody that is going to actually use it, they're probably not going to care. They really just care more about mainly if the artwork on the front is still intact and all the pieces are inside. and they will have a diagram on the back like this showing all the pieces. So if it has been cut out, some really, really old ones, this one is not really old because it's not like this, but some of the really old patterns didn't have any printing on them, like to label the pieces. They had holes punched in them. So that's how you can tell if they are very, very old, if they're unprinted. I'm not going to unfold this whole thing because I don't want to deal with putting it back. Just trying to see really quick if it has the date. 1953. Excellent find there. And then it has embroidery patterns for the top of the thing. But I don't know what size it is either, so I'm going to have to deduce that from the measurements on the pattern. And then this one is probably from the 70s. This is $1.25. I'm going to say late 70s, early 80s, if I had to guess. Oh, the pattern pieces are like folded up in the instructions. I almost got, like, if I had been a couple hours earlier to this one estate sale, I could have had hundreds of these. But I showed up, like, right when it started because I didn't think anybody around here was getting patterns. And, yeah, there was, like, 2 people that walked out of the person's sewing room at the estate sale with like boxes stacked up of the patterns. I was like, dang it, I was so close. And then I got this one as well. This is like 60s maybe. And then this one, I almost just passed this up, but this is, I'm probably going to keep this for myself actually. But this is a basic pattern. So it will help. This will help you make a standard fitting pattern for your measurements, and that way you can alter that to make different styles of clothing or dresses, tops, skirts, whatever you want, without having to fit every new pattern. You know this one's going to fit, so all you have to do is make the different collar or different sleeves or something. So I really wanted to do this myself. I was going to like draft it myself from patterns, but I think I can use this much easier. I wonder if I could still write into this company for a free catalog. It is Thursday. It's about 3 p.m. and I finished packing up the orders that I still had to do from the small restock of those bags that I was making. It took me way longer than I thought to actually finish them. The last part is putting snaps on, and I don't have the appropriate tool. Actually, I do now. It's in my mailbox, which I need to go get. But I think once I have an AWL, it's like a hole. It looks like an ice pick, but it helps you punch a hole in fabric. So I think that's going to be better than, like, I just found the largest nail that you would hang, like, hammer some wood together with, you know, that kind of nail, and was, like, poking holes with that. It was difficult to use because it's hard to hold on to a nail, but that's all I had, and I had to wait for the awl to come in the mail. While I was filming that last segment, I got another order on my Shopify, so let's see what that was for, because I'm sold out. Cool, because I hadn't had any orders in, like, 2 days because this thing that everybody was coming there for was sold out. So I changed my Shopify layout. I mentioned this in the last video about how it was difficult for me to do this kind of thing on Etsy, but on Shopify, I was sold out of the thing that everybody's coming there for, so I put, like, right at the top of the page when you first log on to the website, hey, are you here for this product? Unfortunately, it's sold out, but sign up right here to be notified when I restock. I hope that's helping. And I also updated my link tree. I have my link tree in my Instagram and TikTok. First link was always to my Shopify. Second link was always to Etsy. But people were just skipping over the Shopify one and going to Etsy. And I don't want them to do that. So I put shop my website here. And then I put like ships to the US and Canada. And then for Etsy, I took the word Etsy out of it. And I put, are you outside of the US and Canada? Shop here. So maybe that will help like direct the flow of traffic, because my conversion rate just absolutely tanked for the last 7 days or however long it's been on Etsy, because people are going there, and I never listed this product on my Etsy. I even put I said in the video and put in the descriptions of those videos that the product was only on my website, but people were still going to Etsy and looking for it. So, but all those orders were the last ones for the month, and every month I go into my spreadsheet and update my monthly totals for things that have sold. And I started last night. I got like an hour or so to work on it to make an Airtable for my shop, and I'm just still trying to figure out what I need it to do, because it has a bit more functionality than a Google Sheet, or an Excel document. I don't have nearly all. I have like not even 5% of my products listed on there. Just trying to not do all of them and make sure everything's working with just a few, and then I can add the rest. So it might take me a while, but I will update or show you how I did it at some point in the future. Just right now, I'm still trying to figure it out, and I think I'm going to start with August sales, tracking them in that spreadsheet. So I filled out that spreadsheet for July, and I was like drinking coffee and was looking at the total of like the dollar amount and the number of orders, and when I realized that I more than doubled, like almost tripled what I made last month, I spilled coffee all over myself. So I will say though, I really need to figure out how to make those bags faster, because for the amount of time that I spent on them, like the design and actually producing them is way too long for the amount of money that I made. Less than $1,000 total for all of those, assuming that they were on sale, because some people didn't. This is where tracking each individual order would come in handy, because some people didn't use the coupon code, which I appreciate, but I didn't make like the same amount from each once. And some people, I would say the majority of orders were for just one, and then the rest were for two. It was very rare. I think like only one person, maybe two people bought more than two. So that gives me a good idea of the shipping cost for them, because I actually made a boo-boo when I listed them. I guess I weighed a few that were lighter than the rest, and they calculated in the package as 4 ounces, but they ended up being, like some of them, if the material was a bit thicker or something somehow, they ended up being 4.2 ounces. So that means I had to ship them for 5 ounces, which puts you up into the next weight category for USPS, which means some of them were like 60 to 80 cents more to ship. So I didn't account for that. Like even for the ones where people paid shipping, if they only bought one, I ended up losing a bit, which I am okay with. It wasn't that many of them, but I changed it for the future so that it doesn't happen. But this goes to show me and you as well. I talked about in the last video that personally and professionally, June of this year, 2023, was awful. Awful. If you didn't see that, I went back and forth to Kentucky. I think both times were in June. My grandma was really, really sick, and something happened and she was not going to be able to recover. They put her on hospice and she passed away pretty quickly. That whole situation took about 3 entire weeks, which means I wasn't working. And even when I was here, I wasn't present because just, it was awful. Then like right after the funeral, my brother and I rushed back here to Georgia because I had my wisdom teeth taken out. Like I couldn't put it off any longer. They were not in good shape, and I was like, okay, I already postponed them once because it was supposed to be like a couple weeks prior, and I was in Kentucky when I had to call and reschedule. That took me out for physically, like entirely out for 4 days. I couldn't do anything. Like I was so tired, sleeping all day, and then like just recovering from the anesthesia and stuff. I didn't take my squirrel pills, my ADHD medication, and I underestimate how much that does for me. Like it drives me insane. I'm going off on a tangent, but I don't care. It drives me insane when people label those of us with ADHD just like addicts or, you know, junkies, whatever, because of the medication that we take. It doesn't affect, if you legitimately have attention deficit disorder, the neurons in your brain don't fire correctly. That's why we can't do anything. If you do actually have this disorder, there is something chemically wrong in your brain, and basically how I describe it is like signals are being sent, but they're not being received, and vice versa. So have a stimulant, like most of us before we got diagnosed or whatever, probably self-medicate with caffeine, like energy drinks and coffee, because that helps the messages be received in the brain. I'm not a doctor, so, you know, contact your doctor if you have concerns. Stimulants for us help that primarily. They don't make us jittery or jumpy or like, you know, feel like we have energy. We just feel like our brain is working a little bit better now. It doesn't cure it, but it helps. But the issue of like people becoming junkies or addicts or whatever is when they don't legitimately have ADHD, because it does act as a stimulant. Basically, like drinking an insane amount of energy drinks, you get jittery, you get sweaty, nervous, and it's not good for you to take if you don't have this condition, because it affects the other parts of your body more. And having ADHD or some other kind of cognitive issue is just incredibly frustrating, because you're like, why can't I be normal? Why can't I be like everybody else? You know, like just do things that normal people take for granted. And that comes from within your own brain of like beating yourself up, and also from outside, because people are like, why can't you be normal? Why can't you be like me and, you know, do all these things and start and actually finish projects, or remember what you're supposed to be doing, or not get sidetracked too much or whatever. You're not trying hard enough, you need to try harder. And it's like, we try so freaking hard, and that affects other parts of our life as well. Like it causes so much anxiety, so much stress, so much depression, because we feel like we're worthless and can't do things. So bringing this back around to what I was saying, when I wasn't taking it after my wisdom tooth surgery, which I did not take it because they gave me like hydrocodone, and I was looking that up, and you're not supposed to take hydrocodone and Adderall at the same time. I only took one hydrocodone pill. I absolutely hated it, and I just took ibuprofen after that. But I did not want to even like come close to having them overlap in my system, because I didn't know what was going to happen. So I waited several days to start taking Adderall again. But without it, I've just felt like it was a different kind of tired. Not just from the anesthesia wearing off, but it was just like mentally, like I couldn't do anything. I didn't have drive or just the desire to really do anything, even simple tasks anymore. And then once I started taking the Adderall again, that kind of went away. And you can tell that it's kicked in today, because I remember where I was going with this story. So all of that to say basically how the month of June was absolutely horrible for me personally, like for my family and for my business as well, because I wasn't here to advertise or, you know, like really work on things, because I physically wasn't here. And then the rest of the time I wasn't mentally here. So that month was the worst month. Looking at my spreadsheet here, it was the second worst month of my business. Just looking at from January 2021, the month of June of 2023 was the second worst out of all those months. The worst by a narrow margin was April 2022, like I talked about in the last video, was probably due to the Etsy boycott, and also that I was setting up my Shopify, so I wasn't working on it then either. I was focused on Shopify. And then now this goes to show that even though you have a really, really bad month, like this has happened twice in a row now, have a bad month and then the next month is amazing. Because like in 2022 in April, I had a really bad, like just gonna be honest here, I made less than $1,000, like gross. And this is my full-time job, so you see where that's a problem. And then May 2022, a little bit better, like about $100 more. But then in June 2022, I made 11,000. So that clickbait, like the last video, that's like the huge spike in the graph and then dropping off, because I made 11,000, and then the next month I made 4,000. So one of my supply orders, or the fabric orders that I bought on from somebody on Facebook, came in today. So I need to open that and let them know that it arrived. Then one of my business friends on Instagram sent me a package of her scrap fabric that I can use for these. And I sent her a label as well, and that'll be here Monday. But I do have something to start on for the weekend, because I need to get a move on these ASAP. I'm still not 100% sure if I want to do separate launches or separate batches for the restock. So I always check my spam folder in my business email, because sometimes like legitimate opportunities come up. Actually, somebody from the National Wildlife Federation, like somebody that actually works, like I confirmed, that works for the National Wildlife Federation, contacted me to wholesale some of my products. Unfortunately, they haven't gotten back to me, so maybe they weren't interested, but that went to my spam. And even though they sent it to the contact form on my website, it still came in as spam. So if I hadn't checked it and Gmail deleted it, then I would have missed that opportunity. But anyways, I got another spam from this wonderful opportunity. So this person got their contact information on a search from a reliable, trustworthy person. I was referred to them by the Spirit of the Lord in their dreams. So based on that, they have left the only funds left in their account to me, because that was what was told to them in their dreams. And they want me to use their funds for an orphanage charity organization project to help lesser privileges in my home country city. Then this word for word, please note, if you received this message in your spam/junk/bulk folder, that is because of the restrictions implemented by your internet service provider. Probably shouldn't have opened that, because if somebody sends you a spam, depending on what service they send it from, they can see if you opened it. And I'm going to be busy as heck for the next couple weeks trying to restock those bags, so hopefully I can get this up on Sunday, but we'll see. Leave me a comment and let me know if you also do eBay or are interested in it. I'm not going to put like handmade stuff on eBay. I have like a lot of ideas, but for now I don't plan on putting handmade stuff on eBay, at least not like the same things that I do for Etsy. But if you do eBay as well, let me know what you want to see, or if you're interested in it, what you want to see about the process. I have literally only made like 5 sales now. I think 5. Yes, I've made 5 sales on eBay, so I'm not an expert, but I am learning along with you guys and with from other people who do what I do for Etsy, but they do it for eBay. So most of my audience here are people that are newer to Etsy, you're just getting started or thinking about it. I think it's going to be interesting to put myself in that position for a different platform. And some things that I know and that I've learned and developed over the years of selling on Etsy, I can apply to eBay, but it's a bit different. I will say so far the most valuable thing that hasn't even like come to fruition yet is going to be that freaking Airtable, because it blows my mind that I have never heard of Airtable before. But that is it for me today. I hope that everything is going well for you, and if it has not been, I can promise you that it will get better. So I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.